Hey guys, what's up? This is Brian with Bear Cards 34, coming at you again with another show and tell video. This is my fourth oldest complete set of NFL trading cards, and so I've already shown the 75 tops as well as the 78 and 79. So this is the 1980 set, and highlighted here with the first card to show is Brian Sipe. He was the NFL's MVP in 1980. He had quite a great season. It was 4,100 yards and 30 touchdowns, which is especially good for 1980. So that Brian Sipe card kind of shows you the standard and typical design of this year. Once again, it's a 528 card set. And once again, there are no team logos, unfortunately. Those had to be airbrushed out, as with some of the previous seasons. So just to kind of give you a little update on these cards to show a little bit of what's available, we have here the 1979 AFC Championship card, Steelers 27, Oilers 13. This one here was the 79 NFC Championship. This must have been not the most exciting game, maybe a defensive game. The Rams had 3 field goals, and the Buccaneers didn't get anything. And then for the Super Bowl, kind of the final big victory for the Steelers during their 70s dynasty coming to a close here with this win over the Rams. So again, these kind of highlight the final big games of the season. This set here is actually very affordable. I saw on Amazon earlier today a set selling for $100 in near mint to mint condition. And if you think about that, when you think of how pricey boxes of cards are these days for hobby box, even for retail, $100 for a complete set from 40 years ago is not too bad. So today I'm going to show you a handful of Hall of Famers that are a part of this set, as well as some rookie cards. Another thing that they have, as usual here, is the classic, team leaders cards. Here we have Walter Payton, my football hero, I would say, with the Chicago Bears. And I did notice on this one right here, this is the Bengals. I don't know if he has any other cards, he might, but right there, Dick Geron, who was a coach. He was even in Chicago for a little while, so kind of interesting to get his card there. As with other seasons, this has the checklist cards, just to kind of help for people trying to collect the whole set. And then we also had some record breakers from the 79 season that get to be highlighted here during the 1980 collection. So this here is Otis O.J. Anderson. He was a rookie that year, and he actually broke Earl Campbell's record for most yards rushing by a rookie just 1 year after Earl Campbell set that mark. Otis Anderson ran for 193 yards in his very first game and finished up with 1,605 yards for the season. He was a great player with the Cardinals. He had a lot of really successful years. Then some injuries slowed him down. He eventually lost his starting job to Stump Mitchell, I believe. And then he did have a career rebound with the Giants. And in 1989, he was the NFL Comeback Player of the Year. He also was MVP of Super Bowl that year with 100 yards rushing and a touchdown. This Pro Set card kind of commemorates that he was the 89 Comeback Player of the Year. So it's kind of cool to see, a decade apart, you've got, on the beginning of his career, all the success he had as a rookie, and then nearing the end of his career, having that, that really successful ending with the New York Giants. Another autograph card, I wish. Another record breaker card. Dan Fouts for the Chargers there. It was the most yards passing in a season. And for him, it was just, a little over, I think, what was it? 4,082 yards. That was the new mark. He broke Joe Namath's record. Now, 4,000 yards in a season these days is not considered anything to, well, I guess it is. That's not true. 4,000 yards is still impressive, but it's much more common. We see many quarterbacks every year hit the 4,000 mark, and we see some of them hitting the 5,000 mark. This is Paul Krause. This was a record breaker card recognizing that he was the all-time NFL interception leader. So very cool for him. Shout out to the Skull Brothers over at the Sports Card Talk Show on YouTube. That's a great channel. If you haven't watched that, I highly recommend it. They've got some great videos and great art interviews on that channel. Right here, as usual, we have some of the statistical leaders. This is the 1979 passing leaders, so we had a couple Hall of Famers in Fouts and Staubach. And this is a kind of interesting card. This is the 1979 quarterback sacks leaders. Now, the reason that's interesting is quarterback sacks were not yet an official stat in the NFL, but they are starting at this point, to kind of recognize quarterback sacks. And so on the back here, you'll see, although these were not official stats, you can see here kind of the tabs that people were keeping on these. And I believe that Jesse Baker and Al Baker, I think they're actually brothers. And then Jack Youngblood was in there as well. All right, so I saw an article on oldsportscards.com that came out in January of 2020. And in that article, they mentioned the top 10 most valuable 1980 Topps cards. And so I thought I would show you what those are. The first one here is Terry Bradshaw, the 1980 card. According to that website, Terry Bradshaw PSA 10 was selling for $300 in January of this year. Obviously, Hall of Famer, Steeler Dynasty, just like this guy, Franco Harris, has the number 9 most valuable card. A PSA 10 of his card was going for $350. And then this card is in there. Now, don't get me wrong, Carl Eller was a great player. He retired, though, after the 1979 season, after 1 year with Seattle. But Topps still included his card. He was a 6-time Pro Bowler, went to 4 Super Bowls with the Vikings. My guess is that the reason this card is as valuable as it is, which is $350 in a PSA 10, is there are probably very few PSA 10s that are out there. Another notable card is Clay Matthews. This is his rookie card. It's not his rookie season. It's his second year card, as you can see, but the first card made for him. And this is the dad of Clay Matthews that we all know these days. Played for the Packers and I think the Rams. So anyway, Clay Matthews, his father played in the NFL. His brother Bruce Matthews is a Hall of Famer who had an impressive 14 Pro Bowl seasons. So it's definitely a football family. Now, this Clay Matthews does hold the NFL record for the most games played at his position with 278 games. His PSA 10 rookie was selling for $350. This one right here, again, Otis O.J. Anderson. This is his actual rookie card. And I'll leave a little video highlight clip of him in the description if anyone would like to check that out. Definitely a great player in his day. His PSA rookie card is also selling for $350. And then right here, we have Lester Hayes. This is his rookie card as well. I think it might have been this might have been the season where he... No, so this year, yeah, rookie year, but third season in the NFL. He did have 1 year where he led the NFL in interceptions with 13. He went to 5 consecutive Pro Bowls, and they even made a rule called the Lester Hayes rule after him because he would use so much stickum, just so much, and the NFL eventually banned stickum. He referred to himself as a Jedi. He was a big Star Wars fan. All right, so right here we have Jack Lambert. His card in PSA 10 is coming in at around $500, and his teammate Jack Ham, his card PSA 10 coming in at $600. So definitely two of the greats there. And speaking of great, here's the greatest right here, Walter Payton. So this Walter Payton card is the second most valuable card in the set. PSA 10 going for $700. Obviously, winner of Super Bowl 20 with the Bears, and when he retired, the leading rusher in NFL history. This card right here is the number 1 most valuable card. This is the Phil Simms rookie card. Phil Simms, as many of you may know, was a very successful quarterback in the 1980s. MVP of a Super Bowl where he went 22 out of 25, which is 88%, which was a Super Bowl record for Super Bowl 21. And his PSA 10 comes into pricing in at about $700 or more dollars. So those are the 10 most valuable 1980 cards. As a resident of Utah, I'm always looking for Utah cards. This set only had 3, which for those of you who don't care about Utah football players, that's probably good news for you guys. But for the rest of us, this guy right here, Golden Richards for the Bears, I believe this was his last football card made. I think he got injured and kind of didn't do much after this, but he played 3 seasons at Brigham Young University before transferring to Hawaii. And then there were 2 Aggies, Utah State University Aggies, that made the list. One is Jim Turner, kicker for the Broncos. He was a longtime kicker for the Jets and the Broncos. And the second one was Louis Giamona, who in 1974 led the nation in rushing with over 1,500 yards. And he played for the Eagles. And again, this Louis Giamona card, a common card, you could buy it for pennies, I'm sure. But, that's a good example of, when you collect a certain team or a certain player or a certain college, those cards can still mean something to you, like that one does for me. Now I'm going to just show off a handful of Hall of Famers from this set. And there are plenty of them, and I'm sure I'm missing a few, but I'll kind of show you what I've got. So there's Charlie Hanna, Charlie Joyner, Bob Greasy without the glasses, and I think his son is about to be one of the Monday Night Football commentators. We have Ken Stabler right here for the Oilers. Ozzie Newsome, second-year card. John Stallworth, excellent receiver there. We've also got Hall of Famer Harry Carson, Ken Houston, Mean Joe Green, the great Alan Page, who finished up his career with the Bears after some great years with the Vikings, Randy White, James Lofton's second-year card, Donnie Shell, Leroy Selman, the Buccaneers' first Hall of Famer, first Hall of Fame kicker, Jan Stenerud, first Hall of Fame punter, Ray Guy, Dan Dierdorf, speaking of Monday Night Football commentators, also the great Mike Webster, Jack Youngblood, Art Shell, always really enjoyed him as a coach, and we've got John Riggins, Fred Dean, Larry Little, so you can see quite a few Hall of Famers in here, Mike Haynes, Gene Upshaw, Steve Largent, Larry Zonka, Dan Fouts, and Ted Hendricks right there. So again, we're seeing quite a few Hall of Famers, really nice collection, and again, thinking back, this entire set you could potentially pick up for $100 or less. Something worth considering if you're interested in getting into some of the older stuff that's very affordable. Now I'm switching gears. So, we've talked about the 10 most valuable cards. We've talked about the Hall of Famers. These are just going to be a handful of cards that I'm going to finish up with today of some notable players that may not be Hall of Famers, but may have an interesting story or have made a little bit of an impact, at least during their time in the league. Just to kind of highlight some of those players as well. So this one here is Jerry Butler. This is his rookie card. He made the Pro Bowl a year later, so during this, in his second season. So this 1980 card, he made the Pro Bowl that year, 1980. He played with the Bills from 79 to 86. He had a game where he had 255 yards receiving and 4 touchdowns against the Jets. And that was during his rookie season here. Unfortunately, in 86, he shattered an ankle on a Jim Kelly touchdown pass. So he made the catch, scored the touchdown, and then unfortunately, though, that injury forced him to retire after several surgeries. This right here is George Martin rookie card. George Martin was a great player. His rookie card is this year, 1980. He actually started though back in 75 and retired in 1988. Super Bowl champ in Super Bowl 26, where he got a quarterback sack on John Elway for a safety. He's in the Giants Ring of Honor. They think he had over 90 quarterback sacks, and when he retired, he had the record of most touchdowns scored by a defensive lineman in NFL history with 6. It was later broken by Jason Taylor of the Dolphins. This right here is Dennis Hara. So Dennis Hara, this is another guy who, had a long career, 6-time Pro Bowler, part of the Rams' 40th anniversary team. And I remember I saw the Pro Bowl in '87 when I was a little kid. So that would have been his very last game ever. So he made the Pro Bowl, and he and a guy named Bill Moss, who played for the Chiefs, they got in a big fight on the field. And I remember there was like blood drawn. Like one of them had a bloody face. I think it was maybe Dennis Hara. Anyway, that was kind of my memory of him as a kid. Was just, this old guard who ended up in a big fight in the Pro Bowl. A couple players that I really enjoy. Ron Jaworski. I just really like him on, Pardon the Interruption when he goes on as a guest and some of the other shows with his take on football these days. This guy right here, William Andrews, he was a great player. And if it hadn't been for injuries, we might be talking about this guy as being one of the Hall of Famers as well. This is his rookie year. He ran for 1,023 yards. His very first game ever, he ran for 167. He was a 4-time Pro Bowler. His number 31 is retired by the Falcons. He ran for 1,300 yards in 1980. He had over 2,000 yards from scrimmage in 1981, which led the NFL. And in 1983, his best season, he had 1,567 rushing yards and also had 600 yards receiving. So again, he was right in the middle of his prime. And then unfortunately, he had a really serious knee injury in 1984, during the preseason, no less. And it took him 2 years to recover. And I actually remember his 1987 Topps card I got when I was a little kid. And I didn't know who he was, but I remember looking at the statistics on the back of the card and then seeing that 1984 and 1985, it just said did not play. And I always wondered, what the deal was there. That was pre-internet, really. And so years later, found out just a serious injury. When he did come back in '86, he played a little running back, but he also played a lot of tight end, didn't quite have his speed. He ran for about 200 yards that year, and then he retired. Now, another note is Hall of Famer Ronnie Lott of the 49ers was asked what the hardest hit he ever had was, and he said it was a collision with William Andrews. So this guy's quite the beast. And unfortunately, had his injury not taken place, who knows what we'd be saying about him. This is Ricky Bell. I mentioned him in the 1979 set. This is his second-year card. I think this is his only other card other than his rookie card. I'll include a little link down in the description with an NFL Films little mini documentary they did on this guy. But, he died way too young, a lot of talent, a sad story, but, definitely a part of some of the early Buccaneers' success as well. This right here is Bobby Jackson. Just real briefly, he played from 78 to 85. He's part of the all-time Jet team, had 21 interceptions, and he once scored 2 touchdowns in a game versus the Vikings. One was an interception and one was a fumble return, but they were for 77 and 80 yards, so quite a nice little game there. Jim Breach right here, kicker, 1 year with the Raiders, and then he spent all of the 80s and early 90s with the Bengals. He was the Bengals' all-time franchise scoring leader, and he's a perfect 9 for 9 in overtime field goals. That's an NFL record, and he also played in 2 Super Bowls. This right here is the Carl Hairston rookie. This guy played many years. He played from 76 to 1990 with the Eagles and Browns, and also was a defensive line coach for the Packers and Chiefs not that long ago. He's credited with 1,100 tackles, 94 sacks, played in the Super Bowl versus the Raiders, so he had quite a great career. Right here, including Archie Manning, just for the Manning brothers, shout out. Now this right here I'm including, this is Jack Thompson. He was known as the throw-in Samoan, had a great college career at Washington State, broke a ton of, I think, Pac-12 records as well as NCAA records, and he was the first quarterback selected in the 1979 draft, 3rd overall. But unfortunately his career just didn't pan out. He was voted the number 26 on the worst draft busts by ESPN. Ryan Leaf was number 1, in case you're wondering. But again, this just kind of shows, nowadays we're always looking in those hobby boxes for the big quarterbacks, the big hits, and sometimes you just never know. Is it going to be Tom Brady in one of those later rounds, or is it going to be the number 3 pick of the draft? And it's really just a gamble, until years later when you can really assess someone's career. This right here is the Jimmy Giles, rookie. He was a great tight end. Played from 77 to 89, I believe. He was a four-time Pro Bowler. He's in the Tampa Bay Ring of Honor. And he had over 5,000 yards receiving, which, for a tight end in the, 80s is great. He had 4 touchdowns in a game versus the Dolphins once, so that was pretty great too. Now here is Tommy Kramer. This is his rookie card. He played from 77 to 90. He was the 27th overall pick in the 77 draft. He was basically tabbed as, Fran Tarkenton's replacement. He basically had the nickname of 2-Minute Tommy because he had a lot of come-from-behind victories. Especially the one of note was a Hail Mary to Ahmad Rashad in 1980. There was like 5 or 6 seconds left in the game versus the Browns, and he hucked up a Hail Mary that Ahmad Rashad caught one-handed falling backwards into the end zone. It's a great play. If I can attach that in my description, I'll do that as well. Great play to watch, definitely. Now, he was a really good quarterback, but he was injury prone. In 1986, he was the highest rated QB, went to the Pro Bowl. He's also the first quarterback to ever throw for over 450 yards in a game twice. He also threw 6 touchdowns in one game. So he really was a very good quarterback, but he just got injured a lot. I remember, Tommy Kramer and Wade Wilson went back and forth a lot with the starting duties. This is Jimmy Cephalo, rookie card. I only mentioned him more. He played in 2 Super Bowls with the Dolphins. He was also known as a lot of radio and commentating on television. This is Ernest Gray, played for the Giants. He was, an impactful player for some years. One year, I think in 83, he had well over 1,100 yards. So, this is an example of a player who may not have had a great career, but had a great year. Lyle Alzado with the Browns. Steve DeBerg, for those who kind of followed his career in the 80s and early 90s, he was around for a long time. Wendell Tyler, this is his rookie card. He played 10 years, and he was a Super Bowl champion with the 49ers. He made the Pro Bowl in 1984. He also played in the Super Bowl with the Rams, the year that this picture was taken, in 1979, just before this 80 season here. He rushed for over 1,200 yards in that 49ers Super Bowl season, and he's the first player ever to lead 2 different teams in rushing in 2 different Super Bowls. Another notable rookie is this one right here, Wes Chandler. So Wes Chandler, when he retired, he was the 12th leading receiver in NFL history as far as yards were concerned. He retired after the 88 season. He was a 4-time Pro Bowler, he's in the Chargers Hall of Fame, and he also, even to this day, I believe, holds the NFL record for most receiving yards per game. It was in 1982, which was a strike-shortened season, but he averaged 129 yards a game, which is just fantastic. And then right here we've got Doug Williams, second-year card. This is Don Hasselbeck. He played from 77 to 85. He was a Super Bowl champ with the Raiders, where he actually blocked an extra point in the Super Bowl game. I'm showing his card here just because he's the dad of Matt and Tim Hasselbeck, who both played quarterback, much more recently, and we see them on some of the NFL Network and ESPN football commentaries. Right here, we've got Beasley Reese. Now, the reason I included him, this is his rookie card. He played from 76 to 84, and he was a TV commentator as well. When I was a kid, I swear I saw a video that talked about Beasley Reese racing a horse. And so I double-checked on that just to make sure, and it said online that in July of 1981, he did race a horse named Super Chris, who was the losingest horse in the world at 0-92. So he got to start from a standing position. It was a 220-yard dash, and Beasley Reese won. So good for him. One of my favorite coaches, Herman Edwards, play to win the game. Here's a Steve Fuller rookie card. He was a first-round draft pick of the Chiefs in 79. He played 7 years, including with the Bears. He was with the Bears for his final 3 seasons as Jim McMahon's backup. And during the Super Bowl 85 season, he was featured in the Super Bowl Shuffle. He got his own little, verse in that. And Sports Illustrated at one time had rated him as one of the top 15 backup quarterbacks of all time. I don't know that he'd be on the list anymore, but at the time, that's a pretty nice little honor if you are a backup. Ahmad Rashad, great quarterback. Joe Theismann, great. Ahmad Rashad, great receiver. Joe Theismann, great quarterback. Here's a Dave Butts rookie card. He had a long career, 16-year career, 2-time Super Bowl champ, 2-time All-Pro. In 1983, he was the Defensive Player of the Year. He's also in the Redskins Ring of Fame, one of the 70 greatest Redskins. He was a tall guy. He's 6'8". And then the final card here, I'll just mention George Stark. He had a 13-year career with the Skins. He was cut as a rookie and then invited back a year later and ended up building onto a starting spot on the team and appeared in 2 Super Bowls. He was also part of, one of the most famous offensive line groups to ever play. They were called the Hogs, and he was like 10 years older than the next oldest lineman on the offensive line. And so, as their older veteran leader, he became known as the Head Hog, one of the 70 greatest Redskins of all time. And there you have it. So, again, when we take a look at these cards, this is just a handful that I've kind of picked out, but we really can see, a snapshot of, NFL history here and some of the greats and some of the notable players to kind of pay attention to, or to enjoy, a brief history of your favorite team, your favorite players, your favorite sport potentially. I will mention, I do have this Walter Payton PSA. I wish it were a PSA 10. That would be pretty nice, right? But it is a nice card there, 8.5. So near mint to mint. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll be back with more show and tell videos in the future, as well as some pack openings and things like that. If you do like these videos, feel free to click like, feel free to subscribe, and I'll be back with another video in the near future and hope you all do well. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.